Hello, welcome to Sheepdog Says. I'm Sheepdog, and today I'm recording a little bit earlier than normal because, as you can see, I've just got in from work. The family aren't here, and I thought, you know what, I can belt out a video. It's just me and the dog. She's panting around, so if you hear that in the background, she's just hot, bless her. But I didn't do one yesterday, as you know, because we went to, I think I've got the wording right of this, it was the Athletics World Cup, or the World Cup Athletics. It's one of those names that I've heard it be said so many different ways that even looking it up isn't giving me a proper answer. It's basically like a new style tournament that was set up, from what I understand, to replace like all the other athletics tournaments that happen every few years. It was involved America, Britain, and a few other countries, Poland, South Africa, I think China. I'm trying to think who else was there now. Anyway, my wife bought tickets for it quite a while back, and it's mad thinking it was the one last barrier before we go on holiday. It was the one thing we needed to go and do before we went away. So it was always like, we do that and then we're preparing for the holiday. And now it's gone. I'm like, oh my God, it's 4 days until we go down to my mum's and then go off on holiday the next day. So 5 days. But yeah, it was really fun going down to London. The journey was a nightmare as always. It felt like driving into a maze and forgetting. I remember going around a roundabout. It's telling me to go round and turn off. I go round. Suddenly it's splitting into 4 new lanes and I'm in the wrong lane because I'm in the second lane and it's going a million mile an hour on the left and a million mile an hour on the right. And I'm thinking, I hate London. Why did I drive? Why did I choose to drive? This is insane. So I went round the same roundabout a few times in a loop and finally got it right. We had the exact same problem on the way out, except this time somebody kindly let us out in front of them, and then the lights changed behind us and they got stuck in more traffic and we felt like monsters. But sat-navs and London don't mix. I had to explain to Bosco too many times that we were going to the Athletics World Cup, not the World Cup, which was quite funny and cute because he thought we were going to Russia. He then was more confused when we got into London and my brother-in-law and we were looking for the football to watch in a pub. So he was kind of like, we're here to watch athletics, but now we're looking for the World Cup. I felt a bit silly because we went into the centre. It was Westfield, is it called? This big shopping centre next to the Olympic Stadium, and they had a big setup with deck chairs and stuff, so you could watch the men's tennis final. And we sat there for a minute while my wife was watching the tennis final. Lamp up went and got face paint on and stuff like that. And then Bosco and I, instead of watching the tennis, we faced away from the tennis and took the Pokemon gym that was there, and we're catching all the Pokemon. We're very delighted that we managed to get all the shiny Pokemon that were out at the weekend. And that was kind of the theme for most of the day. Me and Bosco doing our own thing while everybody else enjoyed the festivities. All right, Doug. We were watching the World Cup and everyone was sat in the sunshine having a drink. I was standing in the air-conditioned indoors bit. I was doing that for a reason. There was loads of people seated. Most were watching the football. But there was this bit I noticed. There was this old couple just finishing up a meal. And there was these 2 ladies with babies sat on 2 different sofas facing each other. Now, I assumed the ladies were there for the football until France scored. And they basically looked up, scorned everyone around them, then went back to nursing their baby because I'm like, shh, we're trying to get baby to sleep. And I just thought, why are you in a room with a baby trying to sleep when the World Cup final's on and people are going to be cheering? So I hovered between these 2 seats thinking those ladies will get their babies to sleep and then maybe they'll shoot off so that the football doesn't wake them. And this old couple were finishing their meal, and again, they weren't facing the football even though they had prime tables to do it. Whilst I was hovering, my brother-in-law was getting tables outside and he was just sort of setting up shop watching the football, and we were both in agreement that if I got one, they'd call them all in, they'd come running in. So this old couple were finishing their meal and I'm thinking, I've got this lined up, it's like prime seats, it's in a nice little booth, it's going to be brilliant. And this other couple came along and just said, hi, do you mind if we sit with you? And they're like, no, go ahead. And they just sat down and they said, oh, we just thought we'd catch the football. And then they just didn't talk. And I was just looking at my brother-in-law and Kirsty outside, just like, they've just walked in and taken the seats that we were waiting for. And after I spoke to Kirsty when I went outside, and she said, oh, maybe they knew them. I said, well, they didn't. They asked them if they minded them sitting there, and then they just didn't communicate. The old couple finished their meal and got up and left. I just thought that was a masterclass of, like, just jumping in, because I was going to jump in their grave the second they'd moved. They get up, I was going to be like, underneath them almost. And I just got outdone, outfoxed by a pair of silver foxes. they just screwed me. So then I hovered even longer, waiting for these two ladies to finish getting their babies to sleep and go. I thought, you know, they've finished eating, it's all clear, they might go. And they just didn't. They just stayed there, backs to the football, having a conversation. They have every right to be there. I don't complain for them to be there. But it was just absolutely baffling. They had pretty much the best seats in the house. Maybe they were there with other people who were watching the football and they were just sat in one side in the corner or whatever. But I just laughed. I thought to myself, they must know what they're doing. That was very clever. So in the end, we sat outside. We were surrounded by people all cheering it on. There were some Croatians there who were really up for it. As you can imagine, it's their first ever World Cup final. When they scored late on, one of them shouted, "I knew we had time! I knew we had time!" And you know, all this. And that was quite atmospheric. The kids enjoyed it. We just kept getting Coke and beer and food. I was a little bit shocked, and I shouldn't be shocked. It's central London. But my brother-in-law got a round in, then we went and got the same round in maybe an hour later. And it was like just under 40 quid for a round of drinks for 6 people, which I know I live in Lincolnshire, it's cheap, but that seems insane. I can't even do the maths. It must have been, what, £7 something a drink? I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm thinking that the kids had Coke, so I'm reckoning it was £7 per alcohol. So that was mad. That was a little bit like, as we paid for that, forgot where we were, didn't buy any more drinks, as you can imagine. Then food on top, which was quite reasonable. But as I say, it was an expensive round. This wasn't going to be a video about the whole round, by the way. Although it does eat me up today. Going into the athletics, though, was awesome. Walking to the Olympic Stadium again. It's such a good atmosphere outside. I always criticise the fact that they put a football team in there because the stadium is not built for football. But as a stadium for athletics, it is brilliant. And it's a great atmosphere walking in because you've got all the other buildings, the aquatic centre, the cycle centre, all the other bits and bobs. There's so many poker stops nearby. As we're walking in, Bosco, bless him, remembers that this time last year we went there and we caught an unknown in a Kangaskhan. So he's like, will we catch one today? I'm like, no, if we did, that'd be insane luck because the odds of them appearing are slim. He's still shiny hunted. When we got into the stadium itself, there was, oh, I know, I've got a clip actually, and I'll put it in a second. But there was all these activities you could do outside, sporty stuff, and they really wanted to have a go on them. And at first we were like, no, we just want to go in and sit down. But then I've got 2 clips. I've got Bosco running this sprint, and then I've got Lamp Up running it as well, and they timed them and they put their names up on a little board. I don't know if it was a competition or what. They didn't have like excellent times, but I'll put the videos up because I think they'll enjoy the fact that I uploaded them. So yeah, I'll pause now. You'll see Bosco and then you'll see Lamp Up. You can see for yourself who won the race. See you in a second.
Show me ready to run. There you go. We'll let you have that. Set. Go, 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 go! Well done. 2.83. Stop and get down. Okay, ready, set. 2.44.
So that was quite fun. They were really proud of themselves for doing that little run thing in front of everyone and getting the cheers and that. We looked at a few other bits. We didn't do any more. We did want to get in because it was just kicking off. We were very lucky that our seats, well, I say very lucky, this is lame as hell for anyone other than me, but we were lucky that our seats happened to be on the one poker stop in the entire stadium. It was ridiculous. I took a picture of it to show my friends because I was just like, look where we're sat. So we just stuck a lure on. I spent the whole event just spinning this poker stop every 5 minutes like clockwork. We managed to see pole vault, high jump, long jump, relay, 1500 metres, I think it was 1500 metre relay as well. All really cool events. The problem I have with athletics and watching them is there's so much going on that you're a bit like, oh cool, there's a long jump. Oh brilliant, that was a good pole jump. Oh wow, they've just thrown, it was a hammer throw, there was a discus, and there was a, whatever the other one with the ball was called, shot put. So they're, you know, all normal athleticsy stuff. But it was just like you're constantly looking around and you'd go, way, we got like the gold in that, and oh, we came third in that, and oh, that was good, we almost came third, and you know, it was just constant. But because I'd been drinking and it was really hot and it had been a really long day, there was a point where I was sat there like this and I just got nudged suddenly and I'm like, what? And Kirsty was like, wake up. And I just sort of looked at her and was like, I don't know when I fell asleep, but I was listening to what was going on. but I was completely dozing, just leaning. I was also leaning. I was holding the phone, just spinning the poker stop every few minutes whilst just dozing in the seat. Bosco, bless him, was bored as hell. He never said he was, and whenever we had a race where there was an English person racing and they were in the top 3 and we were cheering, he'd go nuts and he loved it and he'd be cheering and he'd be really happy and say that was great. But between it, he was just playing games on the phone, bless him. He is only 5, I don't blame him, I'm not complaining. But we said, oh, maybe it's not suitable for him next year, we don't know, we'll see how he gets on. But I feel like it's important for him to watch it all and realise it's something that's quite entertaining and fun and be into it. It might make him more into sport when he's older so he doesn't end up fat like me. But bless him, he was more interested in the fact we went and got a hot dog and the fact we got a big bag of popcorn. He dropped the hot dog, which was infuriating because, again, and I don't want this to be a video known solely for the prices in London being outrageous, but this hot dog was £7 and we got him one and broke it in half because it was like that long. So I thought I'll break it in half and I'll put it in the bread, and Lamp up sat there eating hers, and then Bosco put his on his chair and stood up and the chair just went ba-doom, and it just fell down the back, and he was so upset, but we'd already eaten because we're basses and we just go hom and eat in one go. So he needs to learn. But we got popcorn and he had good fun with that. He tried hard to make that fall everywhere, but we managed. We were on alert then. But no, it was fun. I sat there. We watched some really good Americans went for like a world record. They didn't get it, but they jumped blooming high on the pole jump. I think the highlight was watching the relay mostly. That was quite fun. I think we won one relay and we came 3rd in another one. There was a really bizarre moment towards the end. So America were miles ahead. So America had won it really early on, which didn't affect the atmosphere. Everyone was happy. They made a big deal out of who had come second, Poland or England. And they built it up and built it up and built it up and built it up and built it up. And then they got to the final race and it was literally, if England or Poland finished ahead of the other, they would come second. And then in the warm-up, they announced that one of the English relay runners was injured. And it was like they're going to try and find someone to race in their place. And then they disqualified them for having too small a team to do the relay. So then they were like, we're really sorry, but England have been disqualified. So that England finished 3rd by default because the next highest team, I think it might have been Jamaica, who were also there, couldn't get to 3rd place or 2nd place, whatever it would have been. But they could get to 4th. So when the race started, I've never seen this before in my life. I've only been to a few athletics, but I've never been to a sporting event. The whole stadium were just like, because they knew America had won, Poland knew they were 2nd, England couldn't do anything, and the others were all playing for 4th, and there weren't that many from those nationalities there. So they just ran the first lap, the first like 2 runs of the relay was pretty much silence. Everyone was just watching it, kind of like. And then people realised they weren't being noisy enough, and they started getting into it. But that was so surreal watching that, and we ended up finishing 3rd. We stuck around for the kids wanted to see the fireworks go off when they gave them the platinum trophy, but it was a bit odd because they let some off. We were like, oh, that was it, let's go. About 3 minutes later, we finally got down the massive load of stairs that there are in the stadium, and then they let off a load more, and we had to run back and see them, but that was fun. We then had a long trek back to the car, trying to find where we were and get out of the car park, and that was ridiculous. We ended up getting home at like just about 20 to 1 in the morning. Both me and Kirsty were dozing off. Kirsty was driving, so she had it harder, much harder. But we'd agreed we'd swap if we were tired, but then I was just like this, and she was doing that. So we just decided to just leave it in the end. We were like, we just persevered. I kept asking if she was awake, making noises, making sure she was ready. She stayed awake. We got back, carried the kids into bed, and that was it. I can hear them coming home now, so I'm going to wrap up here. We had a really good time. I really recommend people go to these athletic events at the Olympic Stadium. It's the perfect venue for it. It's not a good venue for football. I'll always say that. It's too far away. But yeah, go to more athletics things in London. They're awesome. I had a great time. I think the kids really enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe in the corner if you have. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you watched it or if it was on TV even, because Chris Moyles on the radio tries to get people to go choo-choo at Wimbledon and other events, and I kept shouting choo-choo at this event to try and get on the TV/radio, but I don't think it was particularly broadcasted anywhere, so yeah, never mind. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, as I say, because they are standing at the gate waiting to come in. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. You had to say something, didn't you? Say hello!
Hey!
Alright. Wave.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.